Finally tonight, archaeologists in Egypt made a groundbreaking discovery this week under ancient sands.
In the middle of China's dry, silent desert, ancient mummies were found lying not in tombs but in wooden boats buried under sand. Who were they? Why were boats used where there was no water? After years of wondering, the answer is finally here, and what it reveals will leave you stunned. Join us as we uncover the desert truth. Mummies of the desert. In the remote deserts of Xinjiang province, China, far from busy cities and modern noise, there is an ancient secret. The winds whisper through endless sand dunes. Buried beneath the sands for thousands of years is something remarkable, a lost civilization, shrouded in silence and intrigue. Many years ago, in 1939, a Swedish archaeologist named Folke Bergman was exploring remote areas near the Mongolia border. The land was quiet, harsh, and vast. However, he made a groundbreaking discovery that would impact the field of archaeology. Bergman found a unique cemetery that had never been seen before. Under the sandy ground, there were many boat-like coffins buried upside down. These coffins made of wood had a strange shape for the desert, looking like boats stuck in a sea of sand. Inside, Bergman discovered mummies in excellent condition, with hair, skin, and eyelashes still intact. He snapped some photos and gathered a couple of samples. However, just as he was about to delve deeper into his investigation, everything changed. The outbreak of World War II forced Bergman to depart, and he never came back. His findings were forgotten and remained hidden in the desert for 60 years. In 2000, after years of silence, a Chinese researcher from Xinjiang's Cultural Relics and Archaeology Institute found the lost cemetery discovered by Bergman. The researcher named it Xiaohe, which means small river in Chinese. The discovery made by him and his team astonished everyone. From 2000 to 2005, there was a complete excavation done. Gradually, the sand uncovered over 300 tombs that were buried in layers, some dating back to 2000 BC. Mummies of men, women, and children were discovered. Among them, there were 15 mummies that were almost perfectly preserved. These bodies were in such good condition that some were still wearing their original clothes. Their hair was intact, and their skin looked almost lifelike. These mummies were not like any others. They were buried in a special way, with ceremonies that showed a rich and important culture. Unique wooden masks with unusual designs were placed on their faces. Some of the mummies had red designs on their faces, while others were wrapped in cowhide and wool. The coffin, shaped like a boat, was covered with clay and protected by wooden sticks to keep the bodies safe from the blowing sand. No sand had gotten inside the coffins. Their appearance was even more surprising than their state of preservation. The individuals in the coffins did not resemble the ancient Chinese population. They had different characteristics such as round eyes, tall noses, fair skin, and red or blonde hair. They looked like they were from distant places. Some even appeared almost European. One young woman caught the eye of everyone around her and would later be called the Beauty of Xiaohe. She had reddish-brown hair that flowed over her shoulders and long eyelashes that gently touched her cheeks. She was dressed in a red wool skirt, a leather coat, and a felt hat, with a small bronze earring in one ear. She was also holding a comb made of bone in her hand. She appeared as though she was in a peaceful slumber, with her face serene as if she had just taken a quick nap. However, she had been asleep for close to 4,000 years. Xiaohe and the other mummies were incredibly beautiful, but they sparked curiosity and raised several questions. People wondered about their origins, why they appeared different from locals, and how they managed to survive in the harsh desert environment. Scientists and historians collaborated to find solutions. They studied the clothing, tools, and carvings discovered in the tombs. All the evidence indicated a modest yet intentional way of life. Woolen clothes and leather boots demonstrated how they stayed warm during the chilly desert nights. Tiny tools crafted from bone and bronze illustrated how they hunted, cooked, and took care of each other. The main question that remained unanswered was where these people originated from. Some speculated that they may have traveled from the West, possibly from Europe or Central Asia. Others believed they could have come from the far north. There was uncertainty surrounding their origins. Their language, customs, and burial practices were all unique and different from anything previously seen in ancient China. The desert was good at keeping its secrets hidden. Every mummy had a unique tale to tell, even though the exact words were forgotten. A young child was laid to rest wearing a wooden mask over their face and red strings around their wrists. Feathers were discovered near the chest of a man, and a carved wooden figure with a red X was found in a different tomb, possibly representing someone who passed away in a distant land. Each tomb, artifact, and article of clothing told tales of a civilization that no longer exists. The residents of Xiaohe resided in a harsh environment with limited water and harsh winds. Despite their struggles, they managed to create something remarkable. They took great care in honoring their deceased loved ones and held their ancestors in high regard. The mummies stayed quiet, but their quietness spoke volumes. Finding the Xiaohe mummies altered the way people saw ancient Chinese history. These were more than just corpses. They were echoes from a past society. They served as a reminder that humans have always migrated, adjusted, and persevered, even in challenging environments. In 2005, when the dig was finished, the desert started to bury the cemetery once more. The wind blew sand almost like it was tucking the graves back to rest. However, now the world has learned some of their story. The mummies found in Xiaohe are considered a significant archaeological find. The desert people who sailed in dreams. In the Taklamakan Desert, there is an ancient mystery buried under the sand where the Xiaohe people used to live. These people are also called the Tarim Mummies. Their secrets were hidden for years by the wind, but now technology and interest have brought them back to light. Researchers were intrigued by this ancient civilization for multiple reasons. The mummies were remarkably well preserved, and there were numerous mysteries surrounding them. They wanted to know more about the people who lived in this area, where they originated from, and why they chose to reside in a harsh environment without bodies of water but still built boats. Scientists used DNA to study ancient remains. They collected genetic material from mummies and compared it to other ancient and modern populations. In addition, they examined items found in the tombs such as tools, clothing, decorations, and burial practices. The findings were amazing. The individuals buried in the Xiaohe tombs had diverse origins. Their DNA showed genetic influences from various regions, such as Western Europe, Siberia near the Alai Mountains, and even modern Native Americans and Inuit peoples. This discovery was truly remarkable and caused excitement. How can people in a desert far from the Americas be connected to indigenous people in other areas? The solution was found in ancient history, specifically after the last ice age. The Xiaohe mummies appeared to be related to a mysterious group that lived in Eurasia. Some of their ancestors traveled through the Bering Strait to the Americas, while others remained in their homeland. What was even more remarkable was the strong connection between these desert-dwelling people. Despite the fact that the tombs of these ancient individuals were located far apart in the Tarim Basin, with some being over 400 kilometers away from each other, their genetic material revealed a surprising connection. Individuals buried in different parts of the desert had genetic similarities that were comparable to siblings. Rather than being part of a large, dispersed population, they were a close-knit small community that may have lived together in a single oasis, supporting each other as they faced the challenges of the desert. Even though there were other groups nearby who herded animals and grew crops, the Xiaohe community still stood out. They did not intermarry with other groups and kept to their bloodlines, but they were not isolated. They took inspiration from others and changed their surroundings. Even though they did not marry people from different backgrounds, they were open to new ideas. Their culture flourished like a flower in the desert. They wore woolen clothes, which was uncommon in ancient China. They created irrigation systems to water their crops, growing grains like wheat and millet that were not originally from their region. They raised livestock and made cheese, which was a unique skill in China at that time. Their tools were crafted with precision from bronze and bone. Their graves were carefully selected and filled with meaningful items. Each burial was conducted with reverence and traditional customs. They utilized powerful symbols such as the sun, moon, deer, and boats. Oh look, the boats. In this arid, parched land where finding water was almost impossible, they buried their deceased in boat-shaped wooden coffins. These weren't ordinary boxes. They had rounded ends, oars, and sometimes even masts. The coffins were laid upside down as if they were ready to sail beneath the sand. It was confusing at first. There was no ocean, river, or lake, only sand dunes. The boats were not intended for the living according to the Xiaohe people. They were meant for the journey after death. Just like the ancient Egyptians who believed in a boat that transported pharaohs to the gods, the Xiaohe people may have also believed that the soul wanted a vessel. A boat was seen as a way for the soul to navigate through the unseen world and reach the land beyond. They did not only bury their deceased loved ones, they also believed in guiding them to the afterlife. Each tomb was seen as a resting place, like a harbor for the departed soul. Each coffin symbolized a vessel ready to embark on its journey to the next world. The impact of other cultures was evident in every aspect, but the Shia style still remained unique and beautiful. They had crafted a special culture that was a blend of various influences, yet came together as one remarkable masterpiece. They were not lost travelers, but rather dreamers, believers, and survivors of a time when the earth was still recovering from the melted ice. Their community might have been small, but they had a rich culture. Their land may have been arid, but their beliefs were diverse. They portrayed a vision of humanity that transcended borders and connected the past with the future. Thanks to DNA analysis and historical objects, we have a better understanding of them now. Secrets of the Tarim Mummies. In the arid desert regions of the Tarim Basin, there was a group of ancient people whose history had baffled scientists. These people, preserved as mummies, lay undisturbed for millennia. Their faces, clothes, and even their hair were remarkably well preserved. However, the mystery that persisted was the identity of these ancient individuals. When the mummies were discovered initially, there was a belief that they could be linked to the Uyghurs, who currently reside in the area. However, historical evidence proved otherwise. The Uyghurs did not arrive in the Tarim Basin until AD 842, long after the time of these mummies. This indicated that the mummies could not be of Uyghur origin. Some speculated that they might be Han Chinese, but that turned out to be incorrect as well. This led to further confusion and questions. If the mummies were neither Uyghur nor Han Chinese, then who were these individuals? The solution did not arrive fast. It required several years of waiting, questioning, and researching. In 2021, there was a breakthrough. Researchers revealed the outcomes of cutting-edge genetic testing. The results were unexpected and ultimately revealed the true identity of the mummies. These individuals were not related to the Indo-European group, as some had previously thought. Instead, their genetic material indicated a much older lineage. The mummies came from a very ancient group known as the Ancient North Eurasians, ANE, who lived around 9,000 years ago during the Ice Age in the frigid lands of northern Eurasia. Additionally, the mummies had connections to a group called the West Siberian hunter-gatherers, who also had strong ancestry from the ancient North Eurasians. The combination of different practices and traditions among the mummies set them apart from others. They had been living separately for many years without intermingling with those around them. Their genetic makeup remained mostly unchanged by outside influences, indicating they did not marry or have children with people from other communities. However, this did not mean they were completely isolated. While they maintained their distinct lineage, they adopted customs and knowledge from neighboring groups. They incorporated elements of their neighbors' clothing styles and agricultural techniques, including the production of cheese. They also adopted a mix of farming methods by combining wheat from the west and millet from the east, creating a unique way of life. This adaptation provided them with a significant advantage, allowing them to survive in the unforgiving desert environment by cultivating crops and raising animals together. As a result, they were able to transform barren oases into thriving ecosystems. Additional research also indicated the possible route of entry for the Tocharian language into the region. Samples taken from the Dzungarian Basin, located to the north of the Tarim Basin, were found to be older than those taken from the mummies. This indicates that the Tocharian speakers likely originated from the north and later migrated south. Despite this migration, the people of the Tarim Basin maintained distinct differences from the Tocharian speakers. The tale of these individuals is a mixture of beauty and sadness. They resided, grew, and established close-knit neighborhoods in a challenging environment. However, with the passage of time, their causes of water dried up. The flow of water ceased, the land turned into dust, and gradually their settlements vanished. Consequently, the last of their community also vanished. The only sound remaining is in their bodies, the boats beneath the sand. Buried beneath the desert sands of China's Xinjiang region, there is a fascinating story waiting to be discovered. This story is not recorded in books or on stones, but lies hidden in tombs filled with mystery. These tombs belong to the Shia people, and one of the intriguing mysteries surrounding them is the presence of actual boats in the middle of a barren desert. Initially, Many scholars were confused by the sight of boats on the sand. They questioned the necessity of having boats in a location with no water. There are no lakes or rivers close by that could explain the presence of these vessels. However, the boats were found meticulously arranged and seem to hold significance to the individuals who buried them. Some experts think that the boats are more than just tools. They are reminders of the past. They believe that the Shi'ahar people may have originated near the sea at one point. It is possible that their ancestors migrated from distant lands where the ocean was close by and boats were common. Perhaps they were once part of a maritime community that journeyed along the shores of Asia and Europe. These individuals might have settled in the desert area later on, but they brought their maritime heritage with them. The boats were not simply items, they represented their origins and history. Even after they stopped sailing, they still held on to memories of the sea. Their boats were like a connection to the world they had left. Every detail of the boat's design could symbolize something meaningful, like memories of home or past adventures. However, not everyone shares this belief. Some think that these boats held a deeper spiritual significance. According to these experts, the boats were not just reminders of the past, but rather they were seen as pathways to the afterlife. The Shi'ahar people may have held the belief in an underwater world that existed beyond our realm. This place could have been located under the earth or perhaps even beyond the horizon, where souls journeyed to after passing away. In various ancient societies, water is often seen as a symbol of vitality. It provides sustenance, fosters growth, and supports life. It is possible that even in death, water maintained its role as a guiding force. It could potentially transport the spirit to a tranquil place, a peaceful land teeming with life and luminosity. If this were true, then the boats were seen as a present for the deceased. They were not only used for traveling in life, but also for the journey after death. They were crafted with precision so that the soul could navigate successfully. Believing in this concept and constructing boats for the deceased displays a lovely form of optimism, a belief that life doesn't just stop, but continues like a calm river. Some people believe that the boats found in the Shi'ahar burials could be linked to foreign visitors. The Shi'ahar people might have come into contact with or heard stories about seafarers from distant lands, such as the Vikings. Vikings were notorious for their boats, bravery, and traditions, including burying their dead in boats to guide their souls into the afterlife. It is possible that the Shi'ahar were influenced by these customs, either out of admiration or fear. They may have included boats in their burials as a sign of respect or a deterrent. Here's the honest truth: we still don't know. The boats, along with the mummies nearby, continue to hide their mysteries. All we can do is make educated guesses and be curious. The mystery surrounding the boats is just the beginning when it comes to the Shi'ahar people. Many questions surround their choice to live in a dry and harsh desert. The desert provides minimal water, food, and harsh winds, so it's unclear why they settled there. The reason behind their decision remains unknown. We do not have an explanation for their disappearance. They did not leave any clues. The ancient mystery of the Tarim Mummies. In the remote western part of China, where the terrain is dry and desolate, there is a region surrounded by some of the tallest and most formidable mountain ranges in the world. The Tian Shan Mountains, known as the Mountains of Heaven, tower in the north like guardians. To the east are the Altun Mountains, while the Kunlun Mountains stand to the south. The Pamir Mountains extend to the west. Nestled amidst these towering peaks is a vast flat area known as the Tarim Basin. Despite its harsh conditions and lack of attention, this place holds ancient stories that have remained hidden for centuries. The Taklamakan Desert is located in the center of the Tarim Basin. Not many people are brave enough to go there, and very few come back once they do. It is considered the second largest desert made up of only sand in the world, after the Arabian Desert. The Taklamakan is extremely dry, quiet, and eerie. During the summer, the temperature can reach up to 40 degrees Celsius, and in the winter it can drop as low as 20 degrees. The name Taklamakan originates from an old Persian saying which means, "the place of no return." This name perfectly suits the mysterious nature of this land. More than 100 years ago, adventurous travelers from the Western countries started exploring the Taklamakan Desert. They embarked on their journey from the outskirts of the desert. What they found was astonishing and unexpected. Later on, Chinese researchers also joined in the exploration. Over many years, through layers of sand, wind, and time, they unearthed numerous hidden tombs lying beneath the desert. These were not just any ordinary tombs. Inside, there were ancient bodies that had been preserved in such a natural and perfect manner that their hair, clothes, and even skin details were still visible. These bodies were not buried in regular ground, but placed inside wooden boats and wrapped in leather, wool, and furs, all within a desert where water and trees had long disappeared. Ancient bodies known as mummies were not intentionally treated like Egyptian mummies. These individuals were naturally preserved due to the dry desert air and salt-filled soil preventing decay. Despite not being purposely mummified, their skin stayed smooth, hair retained color, and some even had tattoos and paint on their faces. Hardly anyone lives in the harsh desert today, but long ago it was a vibrant place. Snow melt from the mountains used to flow down into the Tarim Basin, creating lush green oases where people lived peacefully. There was a large lake called Lop Nur that was sustained by these rivers, bringing life, commerce, and culture to the region. The area became an important stop on the Silk Road, a trade route connecting the east and the west with valuable goods like silk, spices, and treasures. However, the unpredictable rivers eventually changed course, leaving the people waking up one day to find their water causes vanished, their lake dried up, and their homes slowly disappearing under sand. The mummies' faces were captivating with their European-like features of long noses, deep-set eyes, and fair hair. Some experts believe they may have belonged to a group known as the Indo-Europeans. The Indo-Europeans began their journey from southern Russia and Ukraine around 4,000 years ago. They were renowned for their travel and conquest, spreading their languages and culture from Britain to India. Among the Indo-Europeans, there was a group called the Tocharians, who were closely related to the mummies found. The Tocharians spoke a very ancient form of the Indo-European language, second only to the Hittite language. They were believed to have inhabited the same area where the mummies were discovered, following their language and traditions. The clothing found on the mummies revealed interesting details about their lives. The garments were crafted from high-quality wool and animal hides. Some of the mummies were adorned with pointed hats resembling those worn by witches in stories. For example, the Sharshan man, one of the mummies, had red hair, a full beard, and wore a skirt with a tartan pattern similar to what ancient Celts in Europe wore. However, these individuals were more than just individuals who traveled or fought in battles. They led ordinary, intricate lives. They cared for animals like goats and sheep, and crafted dairy items like kefir cheese. In their burial sites, grains such as wheat, barley, and millet were discovered, indicating they engaged in agriculture or commerce with local farmers. They were not a nomadic or untamed society. They had permanent residences, loved ones, and robust cultural customs. The origins of the ancient people have become more than just a historical mystery. They are now part of a deeper and more sensitive story in today's world. The Tarim Basin, now in Xinjiang, is home to the Uyghurs, a Turkic-speaking people who follow Islam. The Uyghurs in modern China face many struggles, including government restrictions and pressure. Many Uyghurs believe that the ancient mummies found in the area are their ancestors. One mummy that stands out is the Beauty of Lulan, believed to have lived around 1800 BCE and is highly regarded among the Uyghurs. The name Lulan was more than just a name. It used to be a thriving city located near an oasis in the desert. This city played an important role on the Silk Road, where traders and travelers would pass through. Connecting the Uyghurs to the ancient people of Lulan would strengthen their connection to the land and show that they have a long history in the region. This historical link would demonstrate that the Uyghurs have been part of the area for thousands of years. Due to the sensitive nature of this topic, the Chinese government has been very careful. They were hesitant to permit scientists to examine the DNA of the mummies for a while. The findings could have a significant political impact. If the genetic tests showed a connection to the Uyghurs, it could bolster their claim to the region based on historical grounds. As a result, the mystery surrounding the mummies is not just a thing of the past, but an ongoing and important issue in present times. Despite this, the Tarim mummies continue to spark interest. Every new finding adds more complexity to the mystery. Who were the individuals who resided harmoniously and adeptly in a challenging environment? Why did they bury their deceased in wooden vessels in a desert? What kind of music did they create? What were their aspirations? What happened to the rivers that used to sustain this region? The Shia hair mummy controversy. In the arid deserts of the Xinjiang region away from the bustling cities of modern China, there is a secret that has sparked debates worldwide. This secret is not tucked away in caves or hidden behind walls. It is quietly resting in tombs beneath the sandy dunes. Known as the Shia hair mummies, these ancient and silent figures have been undisturbed for centuries. However, in present times, they have become a cause of controversy, sparking political disputes and disagreements. The Shia hair mummies were discovered in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, a region known for its unique identity. It is primarily inhabited by the Uyghur people, a Turkic ethnic group who have their language, religion, and culture that differs from the dominant Han Chinese population in China. The Uyghur people have long felt that their culture is not valued and believe that the Chinese government is attempting to assimilate them into mainstream culture. While the government aims for uniformity in rules and culture, the Uyghur people are committed to preserving their distinct identity. The Shia hair mummies' discovery was a sensitive issue because some Uyghur nationalists view them as more than just ancient bodies. They see the mummies as evidence that their ancestors inhabited the land centuries ago. The clothing, burial practices, and physical features of the mummies reflect their heritage. This reinforces their belief that their people have long-standing ties to the region predating any government presence. The mummies make them feel proud, strong, and serve as a symbol of their identity when it is challenged. For nationalists, the mummies are not just about the past. They symbolize the right to live, be heard, and be independent. They believe the mummies show that their presence has always been significant. The Shia hair mummies are used as a symbol of their aspirations, rights, and wish for autonomy. The Chinese government has a different perspective on the Shia hair mummies. They have dismissed the theory linking them to the Uyghur people and claim that they came from distant lands in Eurasia. The government wants people to see these ancient mummies as part of a diverse range of cultures and migrations, not as a political tool potentially used to promote independence or separation. Due to these concerns, China has been careful about allowing researchers to study the mummies. Numerous scientists have requested permission to further investigate them, but they are frequently denied or limited in their research activities. Some people speculate that the government is apprehensive. What do you think about mummies? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more celebrity gist. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.